Hi guys, my name is Jamie Lee, and today we're going to be reading Proverbs 16 through 19, so if you like, go grab your Bible. If not, you can just listen along. The plans of the heart belong to man, but the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of man are clean in his own sight, but the Lord weighs the motives. Commit your works to the Lord, and your plans will be established. The Lord has made everything for its own purpose, even the wicked for the day of evil. Everyone who is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Assuredly, he will not be unpunished. By loving kindness and truth iniquity is atoned for. And by the fear of the Lord, one keeps away from evil. When a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Better is a little with righteousness than a great income with injustice. The mind of a man plays this way, but the Lord directs his steps. In divine decision is in the lips of the king. His mouth should not err in judgment. A just balance in scales belong to the Lord. All the weights of the bag are his concern. It is abomination for kings to commit wicked acts, for a throne is established on righteousness. Righteous lips are the delight of kings, and he who speaks right is loved. The fury of a king is like messengers of death, but a wise man will appease it. And the light of a king's face is life, and his favor is like a cloud with the spring rain. How much better it is to get wisdom than gold, and to get an understanding is to be chosen above silver. The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He who watches his way preserves his life. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before stumbling. It is better to be humble in spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. He who gives attention to the word will find good, and blessed is he who trusts the Lord. The wise in heart will be called understanding, and sweetness of speech increases persuasiveness. Understanding is a foundation of life to one who has it, but the discipline of fools is folly. The heart of the wise instructs his mouth, and adds persuasiveness to his lips. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. There is a way which seems right to a man, but its end is the way of death. A worker's appetite works for him, for his hunger urges him on. A worthless man digs up evil, while his words are like scorching fire. A perverse man spreads strife, and a slanderer separates intimate friends. A man of violence entices his neighbor and leads him in a way that is not good. He who wakes his eyes does so to devise perverse things. He who compresses his lips brings evil to pass, and a gray head is a crown of glory. It is found in the way of righteousness. He who is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he who rules his spirit than he who captures a city. The lot is cast into the lap, but every decision is from the Lord. Better is a dry morsel and quietness with it than a house full of feasting with strife. A servant who acts wisely will rule over a son who acts shamefully, and will share in the inheritance among brothers. The refining pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the hearts. An evildoer listens to wicked lips, a liar pays attention to a destructive tongue. He who mocks the poor taunts his maker, or he who rejoices in calamity will not go unpunished. Grandchildren are the crown of old men, and the glory of the sons is their fathers. Excellent speech is not fitting for a fool, much less are lying lips for a prince. A bribe is a charm in the sight of its owner. Wherever he turns, he prospers. He who conceals a transgression seeks love, but he who repeats a matter separates intimate friends. A rebuke goes deeper into one who has an understanding than 100 blows into a fool. A rebellious man seeks only evil, so a cruel messenger will be sent against him. Let a man meet a bear robbed of her cubs, rather than a fool in his folly. He who returns evil for good, evil will not depart from his house. The beginning of strife is like letting out water, so abandon the quarrel before it breaks out. He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous, both of them alike are like an abomination to the Lord. Why is there a price in the hand of a fool to buy wisdom, when he has no sense? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. A man lacking in sense pledges and becomes a guarantor in the presence of his neighbor. He who loves transgression loves strife. He who raises his door seeks destruction. He who has a crooked mind finds no good, and he who is perverted in his language falls into evil. He who sires a fool does so to his sorrow, and the father of a fool has no joy. A joyful heart is good medicine, but broken spirit dries up the bones. A wicked man receives a bribe from the blossom to pervert the ways of justice. Wisdom is in the presence of the one who has understanding, but the eyes of a fool are on the ends of the earth. A foolish son is to grief to his father, and a bitterness to her who bore him. It is also not good to find the righteous, nor to strike the noble for their uprightness. He who restrains the words has knowledge, and he who has a cool spirit is a man of understanding. Even a fool, when he keeps silent, is considered wise. When he closes his lips, he is considered prudent. He who separates himself seeks his own desire. He quarrels against all sound wisdom. But a fool does not delight in understanding, but only in revealing his own mind. When a wicked man comes, contempt also comes, and with dishonor comes scorn. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountain for wisdom is a bubbling brook. To show partiality to the wicked is not good, nor to thrust aside the righteous in judgment. A fool's lips bring strife, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his soul. The words of a whisperer are like dainty morsels, and they go down into the innermost parts of the body. He also who is slack in his work is brother to him who destroys. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runs into it and is safe. A rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own imagination. Before destruction of the heart, a man is haughty, but humility goes before honor. He who gives an answer before he hears is a folly and shame to him. But the spirit of a man can endure his sickness, but as for a broken spirit, who can bear it? The mind of the prudent acquires knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him, and brings him before great men. The first to plead his case seems right, until another comes and examines him. The cast lot puts an end to strife, and decides between the mighty ones. A brother offended is harder to be won than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of the citadel. With the fruit of the man's mouth, his stomach will be satisfied. He will be satisfied with the product of his lips. Death and life are over in the power of the tongue. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. The poor man utters supplications, but the rich man answers roughly. A man of too many friends comes to ruin, but there is a friend who seeks closer than a brother. Better is a poor man who walks in his integrity than he who is perverse in his speech and is a fool. Also, it is not good for a person to be without knowledge, and he who hurries his footsteps errs. The foolishness of man ruins his ways, and his heart rages against the Lord. Wealth adds many friends, but a poor man is separated from his friend. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who tells lies will not escape. Many will seek the favor of a generous man, and every man is a friend to him who gives gifts. All the brothers of a poor man hate him. How much more do his friends abandon him? He pursues them with words, but they are gone. He who gets wisdom loves his own soul. He who keeps understanding will find good. A false witness will not go unpunished, and he who tells lies will perish. Luxury is not fitting for a fool, much less for a slave to rule over princes. A man's discretion makes him slow to anger, and it is glory to overlook a transgression. The king's wrath is the roaring of a lion, but his favor is like the dew on the grass. A foolish son is destruction to his father, and the contentions of a wife are a constant dripping. House and wealth are an inheritance from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Laziness casts into a deep sleep, and an idle man will suffer hunger. He who keeps the commandment keeps his soul, but he who is careless of conduct will die. One who is gracious to a poor man lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his good deed. Discipline your son while there is hope, and do not desire his death. A man of great anger will bear penalty, for if you rescue him, he will only have to do it again. Listen to counsel and accept discipline, that you may be wise for the rest of your days. My plans are in a man's heart, but the counsel of the Lord will stand. What is desirable in a man in his kindness, and it will be better to be a poor man than a liar. The fear of the Lord leads to life, so that one may sleep satisfied, untouched by evil. The sluggard buries his hands in the dish, but will not even bring it back to his mouth. Strike a scoffer, and the naive may become shrewd, but reprove the one who has understanding, and he will gain knowledge. He who assaults his father and drives his mother away is a shameful and disgraceful son. Cease listening, my son, to discipline, and you will stray from the words of knowledge. A rascally witness makes a mockery of justice. In the mouth of the wicked spreads iniquity. Judgments are prepared for scoffers, and blows for the back of fools. I hope you guys enjoyed that reading just as much as I did. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
Hi, friend, and welcome to Fear into Faith Global Bible Revival, where we're on a mission to get 1 million people to read the Bible cover to cover in a year. I'm your host, Summer Day, and with me in the studio are Tim and Jamie. Woo!
Hello.
I got that one right.
Yes, you did.
It was one of the easiest ones I've done so far, if I'm being honest, but I got it right. Y'all are amazing.
Cool.
So happy being here.
Thanks for having us.
So excited.
Okay, tell the audience just a little bit about who you are, where you're from.
Sure. Jamie and I are both originally from Buffalo, New York. So if anybody's familiar with Toronto,
Wait,
Canada.
you guys know each other?
Yeah, a little bit. We just met on the way in here, actually, believe it or not.
Come on.
Yeah.
Jesus blind date.
We really hit it off. Hey,
Hey, you know what? You might be prophesying something that might happen on the show later. Some people, I don't know.
Could be. Never knows. So we're originally from Buffalo, New York, and the last 2 years we picked up and moved to Sarasota, Florida. So sun, fun, lots of these palm trees, nice stuff. Yeah. We're about 20 minutes from the coast. We're at the beach frequently, so it's great. It's great. We got
we're married.
Yep, we're married.
Together 9 years.
9 years.
Yep.
But married 2 years.
Married 2.
And we have a little sweet 4-year-old girl named Charlie.
Sure.
And our newest addition.
Oh, yes.
Vinny.
I've seen Vinny.
Yes.
Vinny is a super cute little love.
Yeah. Italian Greyhounds.
Yeah, I was like, I could not tell you what kind of dog it is, other than it's so cute and squishy.
Yes.
That's right.
Maybe on the last segment, we're going to have to bring Vinny in. You have to be a star of the show.
Well,
I love it. You guys are so awesome. So you came all the way from Sarasota to be a part of this. And so we're just really
we found out I don't even know if it's been a week since we found out about this, but we were super pumped to meet everybody and be a part of it. And I booked the flight, and now here we are. So
I am just stunned. I have to be honest with you guys. When God was like giving us idea, I never really thought people would jump on a plane and come here, and I didn't think they would do it if within a week. And I thought if they didn't know me, there's no way they would do it. So the Lord is always just blowing my mind on the people that are showing up. All right. So the first question I love asking people: you both recorded your Bible readings today. How did that go, Tim?
For me, I right before I went to the restroom to relieve myself, make sure, take one last look in the mirror, and I said, listen, this is in God's hands. Yeah. I just totally have to remove myself from any real participation other than just showing up, getting in the chair, picking up the book, and starting to read. And what I found is that I was nervous in the beginning, but it melted away, right? And it seems to do that for me when I just turn things over like that.
I love it. You did a great job. You did a great job. I know you have a little bit of story with your reading.
Yeah. So when I found out what it was reading, I read his and was like, I'm not doing this one. I need yours. I'm taking your reading. And he was like, oh, really? Thanks. And I'm like, I don't care. There's too many names. I studied all the names in my reading. And then all of a sudden, you're like, well, we changed your reading. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah, because you went after him, and he had read all of your ones you were going to read.
But
you read all your readings, and then you're like, now what?
But God gave me literally the easiest reading on all three. So, thank you.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah, I was a little nervous because I'm like, I don't know Jamie, but we gave her all the readings, and then now she's not going to do it.
Yeah, I know. I was not excited or happy about that, but I was going to show up and knew that God would speak through me no matter what. And if I stumbled on my words, like, who cares, because I'm human. So
that's right.
Thank you for reading. And honestly, like, that's what we want. We want people that are just real people. If they stumble over their words, then maybe people are like, oh, I don't have to be perfect to read the Bible.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yep.
So good. Well, we also like talking to people just about their just kind of journey, their journey with God. We've had people that were born and raised in the church. We've had people that were not. We've had people that even only came to know God super recently that have been on the show. So I'd love to just tap into a little bit of just that for you. I know you and I got to talk about your story, which is amazing. Maybe you could share just a little bit first. And you go first.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. So I was born and raised Catholic. Participated in a church local up in Buffalo. Baptized, confirmed, everything in between. As the years went on, I think that I found myself like I've heard other people describe and stuff. You sort of get distracted, right? Like life happens, and I think that what I tend to attribute it to is I end up I try to control the situation myself, right? Like I don't allow something else to come in and offer guidance, right? I'm not listening. And so I spent a lot of years in a world where I was trying to run the show, right? And I was trying to manage myself and everybody else around me, right? Myself being both my spiritual self and physical self, trying to take anything that was in front of me to feel a certain way, whatever. I reached out and tried to just grab anything tangible that would fix whatever I had going on inside of me. And this is actually how we met. Is we both got involved in some service work for other people who struggled similar to us, with substances and whatnot. And that's really the first introduction to finding a place where I could communicate with something again, right? Where I could show up and have a purpose and feel connected to something other than like my will, right? Like what I want for myself. Like I want new clothes and I want a new car and I want all this stuff, right? But it's like, I really had to take a look through my actions and just through life experience and say, this is not working for me, right? And me running the show is not working for me. And I needed an intervention, from something, right? Something bigger than myself. I needed something bad. And let me tell you this, it happened. Wow. And that was almost a decade ago.
Wow.
So, we've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Well, I know you have an incredible story, so whatever part, however you want to share about all that.
Yeah. Okay, so I grew up in a trailer park, alcoholic mom, only child. Very lonely childhood, very lonely, eventually turned into self-sabotaging behaviors and turning to drugs, trying to find myself and it was just in so much pain. And so I didn't grow up with religion, with God. I had none of that. And so it wasn't something where I was like, are you real? Are you not? It was just like, this is my life and it's horrible. I was living in hell. And eventually, I was 26 years old on the streets using drugs, and I got arrested, 3C felonies, and I went to jail. And it was there for the first time on my own that I prayed to God, and I said, God, if you're there, help me to want to stop using drugs, because I didn't, because my body wanted it and craved it. Yeah. My flesh did, right? But my soul wanted something different. And so that was my soul, right? And that was my first introduction, and it was God who told me to write, "You can do it" on the wall. And I remember doing it in like this pencil, because they only gave you pencils.
Did you get in trouble? Were you allowed to
Oh,
write
for
on the
sure.
prison
They were
wall?
like, you're not allowed to do that. And I was just like, And so I wrote, "You can do it" on the wall in big capital letters, and I read it every day. And I thought if I read it, I would actually believe it. And so I was looking at 7 years in prison. And, that person who was wronged against because of drug addiction did not show up to court, and I was released.
Wow.
Yep. And I got my life together.
How often does that happen?
I don't
That
think
person just
often.
doesn't
No,
show
I don't
up.
think that's like a thing. You know what I mean? Normally
I
people
wouldn't
show
recommend
up to
anybody
court.
try and end up in that situation.
Yeah, don't try.
I shouldn't test to find out, but it's not something that like I first had knowledge of, and I'm thinking if you've wronged someone, they're probably most likely to show up. Okay, we're gonna take a break really quick.
Okay.
We're taking a commercial break. We'll be right back right after this. And then that's amazing.
Are you traveling long-term internationally? Moving to another country? How's your furry family member going to get there? You won't be able to just buy them a plane ticket. There's a whole series of processes and red tape that no one wants to sift through. You need a partner. You need Doggone Taxi. We take the confusion and headache out of moving your pet to your new country. We take care of the shipping, the fees, the health permits, and anything else that your destination country requires. Visit doggonetaxi.com and get your free move quote today. That's doggonetaxi.com.
All right, we are back with Tim and Jamie, and we were talking about how I don't know what the difference between prison and jail is. Which one were you at?
Oh, I went to jail. Prison's like long term.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you went to jail, and that's when you had experience with God, and He told you to write, "You can do it" on the wall. So awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of what was next?
Yeah, so I got out, and this was my chance. This was my shot. I knew it. I had an abusive boyfriend who was also just getting out of jail, which I would later send on to prison for 10 more years because, he was somebody who shouldn't be in society, and I was afraid for my life anyways. But so this is my shot, and I knew it. And so I started doing so many things. I started running and taking care of my health, and I joined a program, for people like me. And this is where I found God. That was an introduction, but this is where I found God. And we would go through a step process. So there's 12 steps.
Yeah.
And on my third step, I've had so many spiritual white light experiences going through the steps. But my first time, I was told to go hit my knees and say this prayer out loud. And I was going to read this, and I was going to read my own prayer that I wrote myself. And I did it. And I just surrendered. I had just been in so much pain and trying to control my life, and it got me nowhere except just in terrible situations. And I pushed away the thought of God and religion my entire life. It felt uncomfortable to me. I was very uncomfortable. And I said that prayer, and I meditated after, but when I had a white light experience, my body felt different. I was different. I was no longer that person after I had begun praying and just said, take my will, take my life, guide me, right?
I remember when I asked you earlier about what you meant, because I was like, what do you mean by the white light experience? You were explaining it as go explain. What did you say?
Yeah, I felt white light go through my entire body, and it didn't leave.
Wow.
I felt lighter. If you could imagine being full of light.
Yeah. Wow. It was
was
permeated
I'm
from
different.
head to toe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said that was how long ago?
10 years ago.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And just it's almost like just being washed white as snow.
Yeah.
And just in that moment. start over. You can start over. Yeah.
So fabulous. You hear about a lot of people that struggle with drug addiction and different stuff like that, and they don't always get that moment. They don't always have that thing where they get hit, where everything's filled with that white light. I just think that's amazing. And I love, too, that you haven't thrown that away, right? You've seized that, and it's been a critical part of just sort of your journey and everything. And I just think that's amazing. And you guys both have such a powerful and inspiring story, because we know there's millions of people in this country, substance abuse and all that kind of stuff. So thanks for being willing to be, vulnerable and share all of that, which is really, really cool. All of you guys are here. Thanks for saying
to the show. Well, what do you guys have that you're kind of working on now, or?
I guess I'll just take one step back and add what one of the people that we worked with right around that time, this gentleman, is probably the gentleman who took you to the church and did that with you. He used to talk about spiritual experience in a way that, like, when you experience something like Jamie describes, or I'm more of like the educational variety, right, where I just have to show up, right? I have to participate, even when it doesn't feel good, even when I don't want to, and
okay, hold on. That's so good, though. We don't want that lost.
Cool.
Even when I don't want to.
Even when I don't want to.
So many times the Lord's calling us to do things, and we let our flesh get in the way because we don't want to. I love that.
That's
so
right.
Good.
It's just, it's about consistency. I mean, for me, like, I work a lot in the business world, like a numbers guy, taxes, stuff like that, all the good stuff, right? But it's something that, like, consistency leads to success, right? And there's an element to that in this. Success is a tough way to put in this world, but I think you get what I'm trying to say. It's about showing up no matter what, right? No matter what. We used to talk about these non-negotiable things, but what he said was a spiritual experience is a profound experience that, so much so that you never go back to sleep, right? A spiritual awakening, rather, let's say. You're awakened to this new state of mind, right? This new presence in the world around you. And I haven't gone back to sleep, and I don't think she has either.
Yeah, I love it. Oh, I'm remembering something I was going to ask you.
We talked about it before. We haven't talked about it on the interview. I was talking about, why do you think it's important for people to read the Bible? And you had such an amazing answer about reading the Bible.
Yeah, it's a nice segue, but back to what I just said is it's these texts, right? They're texts. They're not a novel, right? They're not meant to be opened and read through and then closed and put on a shelf. It's something that I've found for me I have to continue to show up to. Yeah. And I'll read the same page one time and get something out of it, and 2 months later, I go back to that same page, and I've changed, right? I'm a different person. And so the words, while they're the same, they're always the same. Yeah. It strikes me different, right? And it means something different. And that's the real true power in a continuation of this. And that's
good.
Yeah.
So good. You remind me of something that the Lord shared with me when I was in Israel. Went to Israel in March of 2018. And when we were there, we were reading specific passages, and the lady was asking, now what is God really trying to say here? And as fast as I could raise my hand, there was maybe 80 people there. This little 21-year-old girl raised her hand, and she answered the question. And I remember thinking in my mind, like, oh my gosh, sweetie, you really need to reread that. Like, you have no idea what that means. And the lady in charge goes, absolutely. Absolutely, that's what God was saying. And I'm in my head going, how did I get that wrong? Are you kidding me? And instantly the Lord spoke to me and said, what makes you think you got it wrong? What makes you think she got it wrong? And I'm like, what do you mean, Lord? Like, my whole life I felt like I was trying to find the right thing in the Bible or anything. And he says, it's a living, breathing word of God. What makes you think that a 21-year-old would read the same words that you would read as a mom, and that I would speak to her the same way? And here you're saying, you're a totally different person just even 2 months later. Yeah. Why couldn't the Lord speak to you different? So I got real convicted of that. Here I was, thinking I knew so much about the Lord. I'm like, no. There's no sort of just the right answer. It's the Lord's going to speak however he's going to speak. So I love that you were talking about, the consistency and all that. And you are completely different 2 months later.
You can check out the rest of this interview right here or by going to BibleRevival.tv. And if this show has blessed you, you can help us bless others by partnering with us for as little as $20 a month and help us to expand the reach of this show.
We'd also like to invite you to join our Kingdom Discipleship Program, where you have an opportunity to get on weekly Bible Zoom calls with us and people around the world to deep dive into His Word. And you can check all that out at BibleRevival.tv. I'll see you next time, my friend.